Well, I'm getting ready to start my trek here. I'm at Fish Creek Trailhead, and I've got a lot more crap than I intended to bring. But yeah, believe it or not, the biggest amount of gear in this is food, because I'm going to be out for 5 days and 4 nights. Between that and camera and my good lens, and I've got my phone, and you're watching on a GoPro, so I'm not leaving too much behind here. And this is a fairly large sized trailhead. A lot of people come in here. This is very beautiful, very tranquil, and pretty fast. This is actually the approach trail that gets me on to the Alpine Way Trail. This is like 1.4 miles. Just to get to this trail, you have to take, I don't know, a 3/4 mile trail to get, well, not 3/4, 3/10 of a mile. So 0.3, 0.7, 0.7, just to get to the Alpine Way Trail. So we're gonna be up in there here, hopefully by this evening, probably around 5 o'clock maybe. Plenty of water. I probably brought too much. I've got 1.5 liters in a bottle and 3/4 liter. Probably could have just went with less than 2 for this leg. We're about 2 3/4 miles in. This is slow going. This hill I just went up, it's pretty steep, and that was probably an easy one because it was maybe 100 feet. So some great views out here. Oh man, I'm huffing and puffing. Horses evidently can use this trail, and trying to get to this is the connector to the Alpine Way Trail, which is going to take me to where I want to be. I like it better in the tree line here. Look at that. Oh man, I'm taking a break. 8 1/4 miles in, although at least a half of that is some backtracking, a couple spots. This trail is really sketchy right now. I mean, you can see it, but it doesn't look like a solid trail, not like it has been. So I hope it gets better. I've got about probably 3 more miles until I plan to camp. So hopefully within the next 2 hours I'll make it. A heck of a view from here. I just had a break a couple minutes ago, then came out to this. Pretty sweet. Look at that view. It's one hell of a valley. As soon as I make the switch back, we'll be hitting Marshall Lake, so, which is good because that way I know exactly where I'm at, and I know I've got probably about 3 miles till where I'm gonna make my camp. But I mean, you look at this trail, it's nice and smooth. On the other side of the spur, big beautiful downslope meadow. Beautiful place to come. I don't necessarily regret not having went to the Tetons, but with all the snow they had, plus the grizzly bears. This is a little spur, and that happens to be this spur that I have my thumb on. Let's see if we get in better light here. Yeah, so this is the Alpine Way Trail. So I'm probably right about here where my thumb is, and I need to get past this point here where my index finger is for sure, and that'll be my first way marker as far as starting a camp. The thing that sucks is where I folded my map is what I need to focus on. Where it says Goat Lake, I probably won't go to Goat Lake. Yeah, I think when I get up here where it would go up to Goat Lake, that's where I'm going to camp. I mean, I got a feeling I'm going to be worn out. So it's probably at least, I don't know, 3 miles. 7.5 in, and that's counting all the missteps. That's the one thing. Wilderness areas are tough because the only time they have any markings are at intersections. And you can see this trail. This is a real sketchy trail. You know, when I had the choice between a trail that was fairly well pronounced and this, I went with the one that looked like a real trail, and it took me around the lake, and I'm like, well, this ain't right. And then I looked at the map, I'm like, yeah, this wasn't right. And I think the issue is that lake is where a lot of people camp, because it's about 6.5 miles from the trailhead, and I'm betting, you know, it's the first lake on the trail. People probably go there and then hike back in if they do an overnight. That would be my guess. But yeah, as you can see, this is not a very worn trail, so I should have paid more attention to that. But you know, sometimes you get lulled into how good a trail is, thinking, well, man, this has got to be the right trail, it's well worn, and then it's not. Turned this thing off a long time ago. I've probably gotten 2 to 3 miles since I had this on last. Missed a trail intersection. I don't know how. It should have been pretty apparent. It was a trail that goes not too far from actually where the forest headquarters is. I didn't see it, so I don't know where it was. I missed it somehow. Must have been head down during that. But then there was a trail sign, actual sign for Goat Lake, and I'm like, that ain't right. I mean, I know maybe a long ways out, but I shouldn't be seeing that. I should have saw the intersection first. But I've got these big mountains in front of me. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to. I'm not going to make it up to Goat Lake. I'll show you here. If you look up near where that peak is and drop down a few thousand feet, I think that's where Goat Lake is. Now they put the sign up for Goat Creek behind these other trees. I walked right past that frickin' thing. Wouldn't have noticed it, but it's pretty much exhausted, and this is a great place to get water. Nice and cold, coming from the mountain. I can see where other people have come in, so I figured this is probably the best place to stop. Yeah, I mean, you can see where Goat Falls is and Goat Lake is way above it. So it'd probably be like 800 foot climb. I'm just too tired. So apparently in through here is where a lot of people rack out, I think en route to either Goat Lake or other spots. So this is where Casa de COAR is going to be. Pretty much set up. My easy gear here. All the camera stuff. I've got some stuff that has some smell to it, and I know there are bears out here, black bears. I'm drying my boots, one that got submerged. And you can see in the background, I don't know, probably 50-60 feet away or so, there's my solo tent. Now, where I'm keeping my food, I'll show you here in a minute, it is like 2 minutes out that way off of the trail, and they cut over. I'm a big fan of the Mini. A lot of people like the Sawyer Squeeze. I don't think there's a difference. People allege that there is, but I don't think there's any scientific proof. The hole is the exact same diameter, so it's an issue on whether or not the filter is the same size. For this trip, I have the Eula catalyst. It's reasonably lightweight, albeit with all the junk I've got in it. I have it weighed out to about, I think, 40 pounds. When I was weighing it plain, it was 32 pounds, I believe, but that was without water and without camera gear. So I think with that, which is 1.5 liters, and which is 3/4 of a liter, probably carrying about 3 pounds of water minimum. And I know my camera gear, it weighs, I don't know, maybe 4 pounds. So pushing 40 pounds. Now for this trip, I have my Suunto Traverse. This is actually the first time that I got smart, and I brought my charging battery. Once I'm done charging this, my watch, I'm going to charge up my Samsung, which I didn't shoot much with my phone. I talked on it a couple of times. I had a couple of business calls, but yeah, it's, I think, around 74%. So I used about 25, 26. And inside, I brought some cables. This is a cable for the Suunto, and then I have a cable for the phone. And what else? Oh, a couple spare batteries for my GoPro, and a mount for my phone to go on the Joulby 3K. So I like this thing. This is pretty sweet. I took the fuzzy off the top because I was just worried that it was going to come off. I don't have a good place to stick this, so I'm kind of running it right across the top of my pack, and it hasn't fallen down. You know, this has a little bit of weight to it. This is about 1.5 pounds. With the configuration I've got, the aluminum housing on it, and the Rode mic, gives it a little bit of weight, but I'm still on the first battery, so it's not bad. I've got 3 more batteries for this setup, so it's not bad at all. It's working pretty well. Now I could take this off and put my camera on it, which I'll probably do a little bit later, or throw my my phone on. Kind of like that setup. You can tell the sun's getting ready to set. You can still see things. I mean, it's around, what is it, 7:30? Yeah, it's around 7:30. We had a coyote run through the camp, so that was kind of interesting. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, probably not, but my bear bag kit is in here, and it's orange cord with a luminous chaser. And the reason why I do that, so I can see it at night. I've been on a trip or two where I was right in front of it almost. Couldn't see it because I was using like 550 cord or something else. This is really good cord, and since it's got reflective chaser in it, you can see it from quite a ways away. So when you're putting it in the when you're putting it here I mean, I'll be able to see that. Now, the question is, well, why do you have it at like decapitating height here? Well, that's so I can see it from the trail. I came from, I'm getting focus here. I came from over there, and you can actually see the orange from the trail during daylight. Now at night, because it's got these tracers, you'd be able to see the reflections leading me all the way to my bear bag right up there. So we're gonna pull it down. I think what I'm gonna do when I'm done eating is put my backpack in with the bear bag, because it smells. It's got, you know, all kinds of stuff, whether it's sunblock, my snacks, all that. Put them all together. That way I can run it up the flagpole, so to speak. And this worked out really well. You see this big, huge tree here. Problem is, a good-sized bear, see, a good-sized bear can climb that. I mean, a couple 100-pound bear, boom, 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 he is up there. But the tree I'm on, focus in, tree I'm on is old and dead, and you can see it. And the first time a bear gets down there, you know, it's got all these bits and pieces of a limb. You know, I think these are lodgepole pine, I'm not sure, but there's no way he's climbing that one. It'll fall on him. So that just happened to work out, and I'm about 2 minutes from my campsite. Pretty quiet. I don't know if he's shedding or he has mange. I hope he's shedding. I picked beef pad thai noodles, and and there is actual beef in here. I've got dehydrated beef in it, and I'm gonna put to buff it up, Spam light single with it. So, and this is dehydrated beef, so it should be pretty quick. And elevation maple glazed pecan and sea salt bar. So I might eat more. I've got plenty of food, got plenty of condiments, and since I'm eating Thai noodles, I'll probably have some sriracha in here with it. And if you watch my video, you saw that I seal all these in these quart-sized Mylar bags. So I kind of like it. It's more efficient, and I think it's cheaper. The one thing I realized that I didn't have, and I left it in the car, is in my bag, I'll normally take a gallon-sized bag, an extra bag, and just shove it in there. Just an empty bag, primarily so when I cook these, that it basically acts as a trash bag. That way it doesn't get in with any of these others. And, you know, I don't want to, I mean, obviously when you eat this, it's going to leave a smell, and we are in bear country. They have black bears around here, and I think there's some guys that said that there were like 1 or 2 bears up a Goat Lake here. So, but that's, if they're up at the lake, they're about 1,400 feet above us. Half of this. You need to use the whole thing. Ooh, that's hot. Somehow we missed a marker. We're supposed to be Meadow Creek Trail. Let me show you here. We started right down here. And it's kind of weird because the trailhead wasn't really marked the way I would like. You know, on the map it said, what's it say? Fishhook Creek Trailhead, right? Well, that's not what the trailhead said. What the trailhead said was Redfish Trailhead. And, you know, I kind of missed my turnoff here, because the turnoff was for this lake, Marshall Lake. And I wound up probably going maybe about that far down there till I realized, yeah, this isn't quite right, because I had this upslope to me, and I'm gonna go, that shouldn't be. So I flipped back around. That probably killed me for about a quarter to a third of a mile. But and then the second mistake I made, when I got up to Marshall Lake, which, you know, is quite a ways in. That's like 3.5 miles, something like that. Marshall Lake isn't marked real well. You'll see a sign, and I didn't see it till afterwards. You see how the trail kind of goes around this lake. What has it? A tiny lake and a bigger lake. Well, it's all one big lake. Well, what I did is I wound up going around to the other side of the lake, and primarily because, well, I guess a lot of people camp there, and the trail is a heck of a lot better than the Alpine Way trail that I was on. So I just assumed that was the trail. Well, it wasn't. So I had to double back a little bit, once again about a quarter of a mile, and get back on track. Getting up here around this area, that was when my watch died. I was tracking the whole thing, and it was about, I don't know, 5.5, 6 hours in, and the watch was starting to die. So I was kind of having to keep an eye on the ins and outs and the creeks that I was crossing, and some of them wound up being dry. Now, I should have saw this. I never saw it. I looked. I was pretty tired. It was pretty hot when I was up around this area. Never saw it. When I got to about here, there was a sign, and you know, you can see the sign. It said, you know, Goat Falls this way. Followed it in, and this is where we're at. This is where we're camping on day one, night one. We're gonna go up and around, try to hit my markers here in these trail intersections. Go up and around Sawtooth Lake, probably take a break there, nice big break, because that is one hell of a increase. I think that's a couple thousand feet, and it's nothing but switchbacks. So once we get to Sawtooth Lake, we're going to take a nice break, and then after I've probably eaten something and rehydrated, going to go down this trail, and it starts to go downhill. Since we're doing a lot of, you know, ups and downs, I'm thinking we're probably going to camp somewhere just past this bend down here. Look for a good place. There's a creek right here, so hopefully it's like some of the other creeks, the name creeks. So, and that will be night 2. It's hard to see them, but there were 2 bears that came that direction. They were kind of in the middle. They were looking up on trees. You better not still be there, bear. I'm hanging out. I'm gonna be here tonight. Yeah, they were honey brown. Not too far from where I'm putting up my food. They won't be able to get it. Alright. You can see it. Good to know. Now, I'm putting my pack up here with this, so this is going to be pretty heavy. And we know bears are here, so I don't want them to trash my pack and my food. That would just suck. Those bears were up around over here, so not far from where I'm set up. And then they went down here. So here are 2 of them, probably about 250, 300 pounds apiece. Pretty good size.